I've been speaking with the Managing Director of Enterprise Capital and a stockbroker with the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Rotimi Fakejo. We're taking a look at trading from yesterday, and of course he's optimistic that the bullish run recorded yesterday will continue today. Well, we'll continue with our conversation now on the program, and we're still talking about growing the agricultural sector, and we're looking at the recent extension of the commercial agricultural credit scheme. I've been having a conversation with two farmers, and both gentlemen are still here with me in the studio, African Farmer Mogaji and Wale Oyekoya. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for sticking around.
Thank you.
We're still talking about the numbers, and we're talking about this extension of the funds. Now, according to the CBN, the target agricultural commodities and value chains, like you actually talked about, to be covered under the scheme are production of cash and food crops, poultry, processing, storage, farm input supplies and marketing. Now, based on what you're saying about what's left of that credit, we do not know if there's a further addition to it. Is a coverage extension period enough?
Well, it's quite enough. But the problem from the beginning that the money for the past 6 years, 200 billion to the whole of agricultural sector is extremely too small. Where you are giving a subsidy of over $1 trillion every year to oil and gas. And this is where we are talking about that more funds need to be injected into the agriculture if we are going to realize food security in this country.
But then doesn't it mean that with this extension that actually we're going to see a further injection of more funds into the sector?
Well, let's wait and see. But for what is on the table right now, they are just managing what is already exhausted. So let us wait, and we have not seen that on the table. Maybe the federal government is going to inject more funds into agriculture, maybe raising more bonds. Let's wait and see. But for now, for the 200 billion they're talking about, it's nothing to write home. It's already gone. Yeah,
because, they actually talked about getting the funds from, to be financed from proceeds of a 200 billion naira 3-year bond, which will be raised by the Debt Management Office. And so, yes, they do already have a plan in place to make sure that they do not run dry of funds to actually give the sector. But now let's go back to the loan repayment period. You said the loan repayment period given to you was for 5 years. Yes. But then it seems as if it's now being pegged at 7 years.
No, it's been extended by another 10 years, making 15 years.
So if you take a loan now, yes, you have a period of 15 years 15 to pay back.
Yes, about 4 years gone, so remaining about 12 years.
Isn't that going to be abused by farmers?
Definitely.
So,
definitely.
In other words, that's another major disaster in quotes
just like what my colleague already said, that most of this money is not designed for the real farmer, for the small farmers. And these are supposed to be the target of the federal government if you are going to move agricultural sector forward in this country. Because most of these big farmers we are talking about, they are not into this business.
Okay, so let me judging from what you said,
yes,
and from what African Farmer has also said,
yes,
let me now say that, for instance, now with the extension of this credit, they decide to cut out medium to large-scale farmers and decide to concentrate wholly on small-scale farmers.
Yes.
Will it work for us?
It definitely is going to work. Or they have to deal with the small the association. They always have association. They know where to get these real farmers. They know where to get them. But the problem with the government or with their policy is that they never take along with the stakeholders of all this thing. Stakeholders are not carried along. They just make a policy, and most of the policy are not being implemented right.
Mr. Oyekoya, this is what I'm very sure. But Mr. Mogaji, hold on to your thought. I want Mr. Oyekoya to understand where I'm coming from. Okay. Now that they've extended this scheme,
yes,
with the extension, they decided, okay, we're not going to focus on farmers like you, medium or large-scale farmers. We're going to concentrate on the small-scale farmers. Will the medium and large-scale farmers not come up in arms and hold placards and say, we're being segregated now, we also need these funds and the rest of it? And so begins the issue of who are we going to take care of first? Who are we going to try to see who can grow this economy faster? Bearing in mind that it's actually the small farmers, like what you've been saying in the last couple of minutes, that actually need these funds more than the medium to large-scale farmers.
Definitely, I still remain on it, but that does not mean that they should call the medium and large-scale farmers, because they are providing employment also. But I think there should be a playing field, so that both the small, medium, and large-scale should be able to benefit. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mr. Mogaji.
Okay, well, I know, that the way it will work now is to reverse the situation, to say, okay, 30% of whatever we are adding to it goes to the medium and large-scale farmers, while 70% goes to the small scale. However, the small-scale farmers have huge challenges also. Now, it's not just in agriculture, I say this, and I stand to be corrected based on my experience in Nigeria. Now, it's giving money to the farmers is the easiest thing. Monitoring, injecting money or putting a structure behind monitoring. That's what, when we talk about Awolowo, Azikiwe, Tafawa Balewa, they put a lot of structure and finance behind monitoring and evaluation, such that they make sure that the things that needs to be done is being done. Now, if you give the farmers funds, one, they will divert it, because poverty, understand that poverty is endemic there.
But you see, no.
Oh.
I know, I will argue with you on this one.
Okay.
Not a positive argument.
Okay.
Because whoever it is that puts such a money in place will definitely have a system, a structure to ensure that you are able to monitor how this money is spent. It is not free money.
Good.
The money belongs to Nigerians. And as much as possible, we want to grow the economy. Now, this is one sector that we're putting our eye on to ensure that it actually grows. And not just grows, but grows inclusively, create jobs, and also feed the nation the way we want it to happen.
Okay.
And so if you're putting such a scheme in place, you definitely will not put it without any proper monitoring.
That's an ideal situation.
So what you're saying...
But what we have is, we don't have functional extension agencies. They are grossly short-staffed. So if we're looking at creating employment, now, what has worked, we only need to revisit what has worked and repackage it. Now, if government wants to create employment now, is extension agents. And guess what? There are so many universities who have graduated qualified extension agents. So they need to first employ them, train them, and let them go and do what needs to be done. So if they put, what's happening now is that when they release the money, most of the banks release the money when the farmers don't need it. So when the farmers get money in August or in September, the rains is almost going. The livestock farmer also is approaching Christmas or Ileya, all those festive periods. Now they give money close to when they will actually need personal monies. Okay? And so when they get those, they divert it. Two, let's assume they now say, okay, we'll give incentives in terms of seeds, livestock as input. Now what happens is they need monitoring. What used to happen is groups, cooperatives meet once a week. The extension agent is always with them weekly, taking their issues, injecting information, innovations. They're together, working together, just like in any bank. Okay, the internal guy is always there monitoring. So what happens now is you equip the farmers. When they have a challenge, there's no extension officer to come to their aid. And I tell you this, most of the extension officers also are not updated. They don't know what's happening. Innovations, as we have IITA, the cassava varieties, they don't know. We interact with them. So when we interact with them, train them and let them know this is the new innovation, despite the fact that the innovation was brought up here. Now, they now take it to the farmer. But when they don't have bikes, what needs to be done is not more of putting money. It's being able to pay the price of putting a structure that will monitor the money. Getting KPMG and other consulting firms, they do that in designing the project. Okay. But when it comes to the implementation, they also need experienced hands outside the government agencies that will monitor what the government agencies are doing. Don't forget, the way it works is somebody is sitting down in one office, hoping and persistently waiting that after 15 years, I'll be in a position to sign off a couple of huge checks. So that person is waiting, and you now empower. So it doesn't really work. It's where the hard work is putting together that structure, and that's where you find that most people, most government projects don't want to pay attention to.
I think another problem that happen with the payment of the money with most farmers is most of these farmers, they put the money firstly on the infrastructures, which is really lacking. There's no farm you go today in Nigeria that are going to see a better road for them to transport their goods. So the light is not there, the road is not there, the water is not there. So definitely huge chunk of this money is being diverted to the infrastructures. So there have been so many problems. This has been a sector that has been neglected for so long before the present administration comes in, even way before the Jonathan regime comes or before Dr. Akinwumi comes. So it's a continued problem that need to be corrected from the root.